Hello and welcome to episode 3 of Huskies from Home. I'm Sarah Smith, a communication major and senior here at UW-Tacoma. In this episode, we discuss UW-Tacoma services like the Pantry and career services for students and alumni. We also talk to the Swiss about hero meals for local emergency workers, as well as Associate Vice Chancellor for Research, Cheryl Greengrove, about university research and how students, faculty, and staff have made adjustments to their important work. Nedralani is a program support supervisor at the university's Center for Equity and Inclusion and the manager of UW-Tacoma's Pantry. The Pantry exists to provide free, supplemental, nutritious, and culturally relevant food, as well as hygiene items to all UW-T students. I spoke with Nedra about how students can still access pantry provisions during the spring quarter in light of COVID-19. Well, welcome, Nedralani. Thanks for joining us.
Hi, thank you for inviting me.
Absolutely. So can you start with telling us a little bit about the Pantry at UW-Tacoma?
Yeah. So the Pantry is a free resource for all current UW-T students who may be facing some form of food insecurity. And for those who aren't too familiar with what the term food insecurity means, it's not being able to have adequate access to healthy and nutritious foods. So we provide both perishable and non-perishable food items, as well as hygiene products for students. We don't do any formal background check as like other food banks would do in the community. It's all on a need basis. And so our biggest thing is just making sure students have basic needs in order for them to succeed academically and holistically as a person, right? So,
yeah.
And
so how do students access what the Pantry provides?
In a typical sense or right now?
Well, let's start with right now.
Yeah, so during this whole stay-at-home order, we've changed our guidelines and procedures. But I just want to make it clear that the Pantry is still open for all of our students. It just looks, it's just operating differently. So we've moved to a strictly online food order where students have a choice to fill out a form of what their food preferences are based off of 5 diets that we've chosen that we feel like captures most of the diets. So it's an omnivore diet, a vegan, vegetarian, a gluten-free diet, or a kosher diet. I think we're missing one, but the website has all of this information on there. So students can choose that, and then they can determine whether they want to come in during one of our pickup times that we have scheduled, or if they would like a delivery because transportation may be an issue. And so all that information is on our website, all the days that we are open for pickups in the Pantry, and then as well as the delivery dates and time frames that we're doing that. So yeah, I think we're just trying to adapt as we learn best practices throughout this time, and we've changed a lot of our guidelines as new information came out, and seeing what other food banks in the community are doing to kind of follow suit with them for health and safety reasons as well. So
is the Pantry strictly delivery, or can students pick up right now?
Yeah, they can pick up right now.
Okay.
Yeah, so on our website, tacoma.uw.edu / the Pantry, it has all our guidelines on there and all the dates that are set out for pickup times and delivery times.
Perfect. Okay. So have you seen an increase in demand since the stay-at-home orders went into place?
Yeah, it's not as much as a typical week on campus would look like, right? But I do think these numbers are important to say that we have students who are still utilizing this resource. I can kind of give you a rough estimate. We had a total of roughly around 160 students who have utilized the Pantry since May 30th, when we transitioned into these new guidelines and pickups for the Pantry. And roughly around 750 pounds of food has been sent out and into students' homes. So not, I feel like on an average month, our numbers right now, I don't have the information right in front of me, but roughly around 300 or 200 students who utilize the pantry, especially we're like mid-quarter right now. So we see a little bit of uptake in pantry usage during these time frames. But yeah, I mean, these numbers aren't as big as our regular hour or regular days, but it's still significant to say that students are still utilizing the pantry.
Yeah. And so what can the UW-Tacoma community do to help support the pantry and support our students?
I think right now, I think just getting the word out that the pantry is still open, and we are trying to be as accommodating as much as possible to students, right? So this whole delivery service kind of just began a couple weeks ago, and it wasn't a part of our initial guidelines when moving into this stay-at-home order. And so just letting folks know that this is an option, and hopefully we're able to serve students that way. Another thing is just, I don't know, just checking up on your students and just making sure that they're okay, their basic needs are being met, especially throughout these times. Just knowing that a lot of these students or anyone can't really survive without these basic needs. And so just making sure you're checking on your students that these resources are available for them. Just recently too, we've received really big donations from some community partners and organizations. AT&T donated a huge amount of money and has also helped volunteer with us to deliver food on Mondays to students. So there's a lot of communal support that's happening right now. And I just want to do a shout out to all of our partners who's been super helpful. AT&T, Sound Credit Union, some of our local churches too, organizations have been helpful in reaching out. Tables of Grace, Coca-Cola donated a lot of their products to us too early on in quarantine. So yeah, there's just a lot of community happening, and just want to do a shout out to all of those folks who's helped us.
Yeah. Well, thank you too. Thanks for the work you're doing and for supporting students. We appreciate it.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Don Williams is the Assistant Director with Career Development and Education at UW-Tacoma. I spoke with Don about career services and how students can continue to access career support at home and online. Well, I'm here with Don Williams, the Assistant Director with Career Development and Education at UW-Tacoma. So how's it going, Don? How are you today?
It's going pretty good. Enjoying the sunshine and the warm weather for a change.
Yeah, it's nice today for sure. So your department handles career fairs, handshake, resume reviews, appointments with career counselors. Can you tell us a little bit about what services students can access right now?
Absolutely. Actually, all of our services are still available, even though we are offering them all remotely. And so we've typically offered drop-in services with our career prep consultants, who are our student employees who do drop-in with quick questions on resume reviews, handshake questions, LinkedIn, job search, and they're still doing drop-ins. The hours are on our website, and there's a link to a chat. And so students can access that chat. They can upload a resume for that to be reviewed via chat. If we're closed at that point, if we don't have someone on, if you create a conversation, it'll go to our email and you'll get an email review. We can do scheduled appointments. Our professional staff are doing scheduled appointments still, which you can schedule on our website or through Handshake. Handshake is still alive and ticking, and so there's lots of opportunities on there as well. We're doing workshop series, basically webinar formats. So we've moved all of our workshops onto Zoom, and so we're offering all those. So really all the things we've done on campus, we're all basically doing from the coziness of our own homes and hopefully still connecting with students as much as we can.
Great. So can you tell us a little bit, obviously things have changed in light of COVID-19, but what industries are hiring right now?
You know, It is a variety across the board. I know healthcare in some areas is still definitely in high need. Some parts of healthcare have slowed down depending on how they're responding to COVID, but there are still opportunities in that arena. One example is we have an employer called Zoom Care who is definitely still recruiting and posting opportunities. And so they're definitely a healthcare employer who hires more than just your typical doctors and nurses. They have on the business side of things as well. Government agencies that have really stepped up hiring sometimes too, because in their responses to COVID, having to need more people, transportation, things like, like the postal service, Amazon, all those things. Obviously, we're all ordering a lot more online right now. And so that kind of industry has picked up. And so there's, as much as one thing goes down, something else goes up. And so you have to just maybe think outside the box a little bit of what maybe you thought you might apply for first. There might be something else for right now.
Okay. And what do internships look like?
Internships really are a case-by-case basis. We've been working closely with the tri-campus offices, looking at how people are responding to internships. And honestly, it changes on a daily basis. Many internships have been moved online where they could be. Many employers have said they are continuing on the same as they expected to in terms of offering summer internships, fall internships. Others are maybe waiting and seeing. Obviously, there are some things you might not be able to do remotely, and so there have been some things that have been put on pause. But even within one company, they might have some internships that are very easily migratable to the online format and others who aren't. And so it really is a case-by-case basis, but there are definitely internship opportunities out there.
Awesome. And is the best way to check out Handshake or the website? How do students access information?
Absolutely. Handshake is a great place because obviously a handshake is a cardboard that when employers come to us saying, hey, we have these opportunities, here's where that's where we put them, or we tell the employers to put them. So, there are employers who are actively seeking students and recent grads. And so, but I also encourage people to check out other sites like LinkedIn, Indeed, other platforms. There should be some industry specific platforms that might be relevant. Handshake also houses all of our workshops, like our webinars. And honestly, it's just been a lot of employer engagement on the webinar front as well, like info sessions, workshops on a variety of topics like handling COVID, or, I think I saw someone do a workshop on mindfulness, and that was done by a bank. And so they're really trying to find ways to connect and be a resource to students as well. And so check out all of the workshops on Handshake, because there could be something that would allow you to connect to an employer in a different way. Because they really want to connect with students.
Great. Well, thanks so much for joining us today.
Absolutely. I appreciate you including me.
Cheryl Greengrove is Assistant Professor of Oceanography at UW-Tacoma, as well as one of my favorite professors. She's the newly appointed Associate Vice Chancellor for Research, and I spoke with Cheryl about how research efforts have adapted amid stay-at-home orders and COVID-19. Okay, how's it going, Cheryl?
It's going. It's very interesting this quarter.
Yeah. How are you managing life in this crazy time?
It's a different world. I'm teaching 2 new courses entirely online that I've never taught online before, and one of them's a totally new course because I couldn't teach my field course, so I converted it to a data analysis course using real-world data that hasn't been processed yet from research I was doing with students prior to the pandemic.
Okay. Yeah, talk to me a little bit about that. How have students and researchers pivoted in this time where you can't be out in the field necessarily?
It's been a big shift. My personal research, I have a federal research grant from NOAA right now, where we collected the samples in the winter quarter. And we were in the process of analyzing those samples. I have 3 undergraduates that were working in the lab, along with myself and Julie Missoura, to process all of those samples. And that, of course, came to an abrupt halt in mid-March, and those samples are sitting in the refrigerator right now. So we're on hold until we can get back into the lab, which hopefully we might be able to do with new protocols in place this summer in a more limited capacity, scheduling and social distancing and so on. But right now, my research is on hold.
So what will change with protocols? You mentioned, is it,
We were actually, in my role as Associate Vice Chancellor of Research, I literally just got off a prior Zoom meeting talking about the next phase. You know how the governor has the phases coming in. The next phase of faculty to be able to access research labs and facilities on campus in this next phase, and how to set up. We're talking the very preliminary stages of a system for requesting and then tracking individuals coming to campus, the entry procedures, and then laboratory use procedures with pre and post cleaning, how we do that, social distancing within certain lab spaces, protocols that we follow, so that researchers can access and actually use their labs to do the research they need to do for a lot of our funded research in particular, which has deadlines. Right now, the federal agencies have been very clear in that we can request no-cost extensions and so on, but there are some things like you have to collect samples in the field at certain times of year to see certain, whether certain processes are going on or not, or what variables you're looking at, and they're very time dependent. And so we're just trying to figure out how to keep going, right? And how to open up the next phase that allows us to keep this research going in a way that's safe for everyone, right? That's our top concern.
Yeah. What about seniors and students that are close to graduating? How have they had to switch gears with their research?
Well, we are still in science and math, going to run our end of year SAMRS undergraduate research symposium. So Science and Math Undergraduate Research Symposium, SAMRS. And that will be done totally online, virtually. So students will present their talks on 2 days, June 11th and 12th. And we'll send a campus invite for that. And students will also present their posters virtually, digitally as well. And so the students will be presenting their research as usual. It'll just be a virtual conference, like many conferences have moved now. And in terms of the students' research, many of them, I have a couple students doing undergrad research with me, and luckily they completed running all their samples before we were shut down. So they were going to do data analysis this quarter anyway, which they can do online, and that's worked pretty well, at least for the students that are working with me, and I know a number of the other students. For students that were sort of midstream, they're just going to have to report on the data they have. And I know a number of faculty are doing more data analysis, modeling type things that you can do remotely. And that's a bit of a shift, but it's still, it's very valuable skills for students to learn, and very valuable results that researchers can use in their research as well. So we've pivoted, I think, fairly well in that realm.
Great. All right. Well, thanks, Cheryl. I appreciate your time.
Thank you for interviewing me and getting the word out about research at UW-T. We appreciate it. Have a great day.
One way we can all come together in support of emergency workers right now is with Hero Meals. Here's some information about what local restaurants are doing to help those working hard to keep us safe. A group of local businesses, including on-campus restaurants like Indochine, The Koi, The Swiss, and Zeke's Pizza, are participating in the Downtown Tacoma Partnership's Hero Meals program. Customers can visit the Downtown Tacoma Partnership's website and choose a restaurant to send a $25 donation or more through PayPal, which sends 3 meals to healthcare workers. The Downtown Tacoma Partnership handles pickup and delivery. Well, that's it for Huskies from Home this week. Thanks for watching. We'll see you soon.